ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, chordae tendineae, and they connect to the papillary muscles, which are these big finger-like muscles that stick up from the bottom of the ventricles. Now on the back of the wall, not really like a finger-like, but just a ripple in the back of the wall, that's called the trabeculae carnii. Okay? Now once the blood goes from the atria through the tricuspid into the ventricle, then it's got to go out, and it's going to go out through a semilunar valve. If you look at this, it's half moon shaped. That's how it got the name. And it goes out, it's named for the vessel it goes into. So this one from the right side of the heart is going to go into the pulmonary trunk. So this is called the pulmonary valve, or the pulmonary semilunar valve. Okay, because it goes into the pulmonary trunk and then to the lungs. From the lungs, it takes the blood, it cleans out the carbon dioxide, it puts in oxygen, and it sends it back to the heart via this area, and this is the pulmonary veins. Now normally veins are blue, but because it starts with that magic word pulmonary, it's carrying the wrong type of blood, so that's why it's red. And it makes sense because it's coming from the lungs, it's going to the heart, it's got lots of oxygen in it, so it's very, very red. And it goes into the left atria, and there's the auricle for the left atria, which is up here. Then it's got to go through this valve, which is the left atrioventricular valve, or the bicuspid, because it's only got two cusps. It's also known as the mitral valve. Now, good Catholics know that the bishop has a hat called a mitre, which has two big parts to it, and the early anatomists must have been Catholic because they went, oh my God, that looks just like the bishop's hat. I swear, those guys are drinkers. And so that's how it got its name. So it's called the mitral valve. And connected, I know, I can't make this stuff up. Connected to it, we have the cord. No? Yeah, this is chordae tendineae, heart cords, and they connect to the papillary muscles. And so on this side, we also have the papillary muscles. We also have the trabeculae carnii. So let's see what we got. We got all that. Okay, to get out of here, it's going to go through this semilunar valve, which again is named for the vessel it's going into. It's going into the aorta, and so this is the aortic semilunar valve, or just the aortic valve, and that's going to carry the oxygenated blood out into the body. So this part is the ascending aorta. Then we have the arch with the three blood vessels that come off, and then this is the descending aorta, or thoracic. Once it goes through the diaphragm, it's called the abdominal, and then about at the lumbar level, it ends and splits into the iliac. Okay. Let's see what else we have here.
So this is the superior vena cava.
Yep.
And this one underneath here is the inferior vena cava.
Correct.
And then this one, you said something about the...
That's called the azygos, and I guess it's not on here, so... Oh, there it is. Azygos vein.
Okay. And so where is this one coming from?
That, I think, is one of the jugulars. I'll have to find out exactly which jugular, but I think that's one of the jugulars. The subclavian and the jugular join together to form the superior vena cava. Okay? So I wouldn't really worry about that quite so much. This is definitely the superior vena cava. That's what you have to know. Okay? Now, off of the aorta, at the very base, right as it comes out, the aorta takes its blood first. It's going to send blood to the body, but it takes its blood first. Just like I do at Halloween, right? I got my candy, kids come to the door, and I go, aren't you cute? One for me and one for you, right? But I always get mine first. The heart does the same thing. So there's a blood vessel that comes off of the right. This is the right coronary artery. And there's another one that comes off the left side, and it's called the left coronary artery. Now, each of those, can I write this down? Mm-hmm. Each of those is going to break down into two other vessels. So the left coronary artery becomes the anterior interventricular artery. So here we have the left coronary artery, which is that little bit, going down the anterior interventricular, that would be this one, and it also branches into the circumflex. Okay, so that's this part going around. Circumflex artery. The right coronary artery, which is this one, becomes the posterior interventricular. See it in the back going down between the two ventricles. So that's this part. So posterior interventricular, and the marginal. And the marginal goes right down the side here. Now the way to remember that is you don't want to lack RPM. I have a sports car. You never ever want to lack RPM. So L, A, C, those go together, and RPM, those go together. Okay? All right, so you got to know all those little blood vessels. Now, certainly not all of them, but the main ones. So this is the right coronary artery, and this little bit is the left. You can't see much of the left because it's underneath here. The right becomes the posterior interventricular artery and the marginal artery. Okay, RPM.
So on the test, when they're pointing to this, if they're pointing in this, that would be the...
Yeah, it'd be any part of this that's going down, and I would label it like
They're not going to try and trick us.
No, they're not going to label one of these other little ones, and they're not going to label it really close to the top here.
Okay.
If they do, you know I'll change it.
Okay.
Right? Because that's not right. They would label this one down here. This one, I believe, is the Widowmaker.
Oh.
You've heard of the Widowmaker? If you have a heart attack because this one's clogged,